The following podcast contains opinions from paid professionals. The information provided in this podcast is general in nature and not advice. For free and confidential support, call 1800 858 858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Episode 14, So We Think, wrapping up a massive Derby Day and Golden Eagle Day and looking ahead to Lexus Melbourne Cup Day, the race that stops the nation on the first Tuesday in November. We'll go through the race in depth and also have a special guest. But what a Saturday it was, Benway.
It was awesome. Yeah, the Golden Eagle, lots of controversy there, and we'll touch on that maybe a little later. But in terms of the racing in Melbourne, and I had the luxury of being down there right next to the mounting yard alongside Brett Preble, which was good fun on Sky, and so many storylines. Another Will, one of the best moments we saw, pulled at the heartstrings. You could see how emotional Jamie Carr was as she hit the line, let alone post-race in the interview. And Kieran Maher, much the same could be said, given their connection with Cole McKenna. But the Derby went to South Australia as a proud South Australian and Crow. That made me feel really good. And great story for Andrew Lewis. He had such a connection, of course, with Leon McDonald, and he won that race many a moon ago with Rebel Raider and Claire Lindop. So storylines everywhere you look, but I think Another Will was probably the moment for me.
Yeah. Oh, there was great racing everywhere. I was at Rosehill Gardens. The Golden Eagle did throw up a lot of talking points. It was a great race. There's a lot to take out of that race. But in Melbourne, look, I would love to do an accountability check, but
there's no reason, because we got one of the great steers last week. And for anyone who listened to So We Think, I'm sure you guys are aware of it already, but James McDonald with a Group 1 double. And while he didn't technically declare a tissue, he went very close. Hey, a tissue, is that horse exceeded your expectation the past couple of preps?
She should, you know what? Take nothing away from Pride of Jenny when she won the Empire Rose that year, but a tissue come out of the pack and was dead set the only horse to make ground over the whole week that week. It was like a winning performance. She runs second. She's backed up the week later in the Champions Stakes over 2,000 metres and won. So she's going to do the exact same copy and paste this year. And if you speak to Chris, he's got a sparkle in his eye about that mare.
yeah, it was some sort of steer from him to be able to label both of those as his best hopes of the day. And he walked away with a 3-timer on Derby Day, which is incredibly difficult to do. Story-wise down there, I think it was probably Coolmore with Switzerland for me, just because everything they've been through over the last year. And I know they're the big guys in racing. There's a lot of money and stuff, but it's been a really up and down 12 months for them. We've spoken a lot about the story of Storm Boy, them with their potential cup runner in Jan Bruegel being scratched last week. And then to top it off, they ended up winning the Breeders' Cup Classic on Sunday morning, but not with the horse that they thought would win.
No.
So City of Troy was very disappointing in that. So the stallion making race, Switzerland, he was lengths, streets, again, better than the rest of the opposition.
He was awesome. And you would have to say off that we'll never know, but he might have given the Everest an almighty shake, and he might be one of the best sprinters in Australia. So I reckon that was the most important point through the day. Like, breeding-wise, it's just, we talked about it the other week. You can call it Derby Day. Well, it probably is on the verge of Coolmore Stud Stakes Day now. It is a stallion-making race. When a young filly wins it, you suddenly think, oh, that took a bit of the sting out of the tail. I know Sunlight was awesome, but when she won, you're a bit like, oh, I kind of was cheering for the stallion-making story. And now, boy, oh boy, have they got one.
What about the Golden Eagle, though? And there's so much to unpack. Firstly, a 20-horse field at Rosehill Gardens. There's a lot of horses. That's all I'm going to say about that. And as a result, it was very tight in the finish with 2 protests lodged. Firstly, 5th, which was Steffi Magnetica against second Lazat. Steffi hoping to take a gap and Lazat moving over significantly, 2 to 3 horse lengths probably over. And then there was another protest, Lazat second against first in Lake Forest because of a pretty similar sort of incident, but right on the post. I think you and I are seeing the 5th versus second the same way, though.
Yeah, so second v first, ambitious. and that's being nice. It really was so close to the line. It didn't impact the result, and I was staggered that they even threw in that protest.
But it was, I mean, if we talk about the riding of both jocks that finished in that finish.
Oh, I'm not condoning the riding of the winner.
It was terrible the last 100 for both
Agreed.
of them.
But I don't know whether it was the fact that there were 2 protests or what, but the 5v2 just should have been upheld.
I agree.
That's my opinion only, and evidently it's your opinion as well. But I had a good think about this today. Having watched the replay at the time, I didn't have a dog in that fight. I thought the Japanese horse would win. As it turns out, it was bitterly disappointing. So there was no monetary aspect to it. But so the alleged interference was at the 75, and if that was what was lodged by Zach and I assume Björn, I reckon they might have missed a bit of a trick, because while they did have to check off heels badly at around the 75, they had to run from the 110. I reckon they started to lose it at about the 100.
It's actually interesting you mentioned that, because I was in the stewards room and initially Zach said from the 100-metre mark.
Yep.
And then once they went to the vision, they looked at where the actual closing and the reaction of Steffi Magnetica took place. And Chief Steward Steve Railton said, well, it's actually closer to the 50.
Oh, come on. I'm sorry, I do not agree with that at all, because it's not about the contact. It's about when you're losing the run. And they said that Steffi had established the run, and she established that run, I reckon, at the 100, maybe even the 110. You're telling jockeys to give 2 horses, before they're making a move. Well, Steffi was in there. She had established it. She lost it. But anyway, that wasn't really my main concern with it. So they said that she'd established the run. There's no argument there. The jockey of Lazat has ridden right-hand whip the entirety of the straight. Zero concern about the horse drifting off the fence. Zero attempt to rectify it. Has not ridden hands and heels to straighten up at any point. Never switched to left, nothing. Just kept on riding full on throughout, which Zach Lloyd knows better than anyone the stewards typically frown upon, and I guess technically they did. She gets chopped out, and this is what they said. Bearing in mind the location of the incident in relation to the winning post, stewards could not be comfortably satisfied that had the interference not occurred, Steffi would have finished ahead of Lazat. Well, they must have been watching something else, because Steffi was going as well, if not marginally worse than the eventual winner, who, if not for running hard left over the final bit, probably wins comfortably. Steffi was going to go past Lazat easily.
I agree with you. And I found it staggering when it was dismissed. It was a really...
So did Zach. You see his face?
Yeah, it was a really tough stewards inquiry to sit in as well, because you had the connections of Lazat, both jockey and trainer. Their English isn't great, and there was no one in there to really help translate for them or to be able to put their case forward. Obviously, these stewards inquiries are different in different jurisdictions, and it was it didn't feel good the way it unfolded. I felt uncomfortable because I felt that they didn't have an opportunity, or they didn't really understand what was required of them in an Australian stewards inquiry.
It might have helped them.
Maybe it did in the end. I tell you what, though, out of that as well, so Kieran Fallon, $100,000 fine. And I saw it last night and thought, that's a joke because someone's having me on there. No, that was for real, because it's in relation to the prize money of the race, as was Greg Hall's, the big fine in the Golden Slipper many moons ago. And then Orania, a $30,000 fine as well. Both international hoops, both riding at Rosehill Gardens in a 20-horse field worth $10 million for the first time.
But so pre-race, stewards have done the right thing. They anticipate that this could happen. Big money race, I'm sure they do it ahead of all the big races. And they say the fines will be severe, the penalties will be severe, because this is high stakes and you guys will be cowboys if we just let it go. So this is your word of warning. Pre-race, tick, right thing done. Fines, maybe a touch heavy-handed, but again, tick, sends the right message. Don't come here and ride like that and put lives at risk, because let's face it, that's what it is about. Yes, you need to chase the result, but not at all costs. So tick again. 2 ticks for the stewards, who are, as I said, they 99 out of 100 do a great job, but they just completely missed it in that protest. And look at the difference in what it means. So as an owner, it's all well and good to fine a jockey, but they still got $2 million in prize money there. Whereas Steffi ends up with 250. And with that protest, she would have gone from 5th to 4th,
Fourth, yeah.
250 to 500,000. So it's double and 250,000 difference. Lozak gets 2 million for running second rather than she would have got 250 for 5th. That's how you should have penalised them because she would have gone past.
Yeah.
Like
It all is actually interconnected, isn't it? In a way, obviously their protests are specific to incidents, but in terms of the result and then how those jockeys rode out in the end and the fines dealt and the 1 month suspensions as well, you would have thought all that would be taken into consideration, but it wasn't in the end.
they
because-
obviously, yeah. It is hard because you never know. Like
yeah.
you never know. And I know I'm speaking with confidence that I think Steffi would have gone past. And 99 out of 100 she would have. But they obviously viewed it differently, and I guess we have to stick with that, and so too to Steffi and the owners. I will say one last thing on it. The criticism of Zach Lloyd is so unfair. If you have a look at the head-on when he looked to take the run between horses, so he started to establish it at the 110, that horse was hard fence. Now, from the second he went to its left hip, it just drifted out and drifted out and drifted out until he was ultimately checked. So, yes, in hindsight, the winner came off his back and went fence, but it was not there.
No, the horse had moved.
When he looked for the run.
horse moved,
So,
yeah.
my recommendation to anyone who's about to go on social media, in the future, wait until you've seen the head-on. Because the lateral shot, you said, why the hell didn't he stay on the fence? He panicked. He looked for a gap.
There was
when
no
he
room
didn't
on the
need
fence
to.
then.
There wasn't room. So watch the head-on. If you still want to disagree with me, that's okay, but that's racing. Anything else?
Should we just get into a special guest?
Yeah, I think so. I am really looking forward to this. She's a gem.
Getting your first ride in the Melbourne Cup is a very special moment. And someone who's doing that on Tuesday is Winona Costin, who is our very special guest. She rides Positivity for Andrew Forsman, who, this mare, we're looking forward to seeing her. But most of all, I'm looking forward to seeing you get the opportunity on Tuesday. Winona, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's a flagship moment in anyone's life, I'm sure, as a jockey to be able to ride in a Melbourne Cup. We'll talk about the horse a little bit later, but what does it mean just to be walking out there and presented as one of the jockeys that gets to ride in the great race?
Oh, it's just going to be such an incredible feeling. I've wanted this since I was a little kid. So to be able to finally do it, it's going to be an unbelievable feeling.
Are you one of those, we hear a few jockeys, they talk about, they try to foresee it and forecast it, and some even
Manifest
hop
it.
on a mechanical horse and do the celebration as if they've done it. Do you dare to dream like that, and have you over the past couple of days?
Yeah, I have a little bit actually. Just thinking, what salute shall I do when I win it?
And when I win it, not if I win it. Love it. That's the
Wow.
mindset. So, can you give us a little bit of insight there? Do you have anything planned? We've got a bow for Abdullah. We have the apple from Huey. What would you do?
No, I haven't worked it out yet.
She can't. That would be mocking it. You cannot reveal the
You're-
potential salute.
Hang on. I think was it Gibbo? Dylan, I think. He manifested one on his
Yeah, he
mechanical
did.
horse.
He
and
did. And so did Carl Wilson Taylor.
Someone walked in on him.
It was
Yes,
Carl Wilson
that's
Taylor.
Right, that's right. It was
Up-
Carl.
In the Tats Tiara last year, I think.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he said that his girlfriend, Ange Jones, who you would know, walked in and goes, What are you doing?
Yeah,
He goes, No,
bizarre.
I've manifested this moment and I have to practice it. I think that's their secret jocks business.
Yeah,
almost.
right. Okay. Well, I can't wait to see it if and when, and I hope it is a when. Long odds, but New Zealand mare, 3,200 we know would be no drama. Great stable. You remarkably have already been on today. Tell us the feel that you kind of got.
Yeah, I jumped on her this morning. She felt great. She got into a really nice rhythm. She just bowled around, stretched her legs out really well. She pulled up great. So very happy and very excited for Tuesday.
But she didn't just come down
No.
this morning. This is the dedication of jocks. So to have a car in Melbourne over the next few days, you and your partner have driven down from Sydney. So what's it, an 8-hour drive overnight, gotten to Melbourne and then straight away headed to Flemington to jump on board her?
Yep, that's it. Drove down last night. Got in this morning. We just shared the drive down and jumped straight on her and off we went. And a bit tired now, but that's okay.
We could have hooked you up with a rental car down here.
Yeah, in hindsight, actually. Yeah, well, so we think's budget. Maybe that might have come out of your pocket, Em, not mine. Hey, we've loved the opportunity to get you on because there's a lot of things away from racing that we're keen to talk about too. In terms of your pedigree, your riding pedigree, it sounds as though you do have a bit of a connection to the great race. What is it?
Yeah, so family history is my grandfather on my mum's side. He trained Captain Puri, who ran third in it. I think he ran a couple of times in it, but the best he did was third, which was in Think Big's year.
Yeah.
And then my uncle through marriage, so my cousin's dad, is Toby Ortridge, and he ran second in it when he was quite young. And then my great grandfather on dad's side was Larry Wiggins, and he also ran second in it. So
There's only one thing really
Racing's-
missing.
yeah,
Yeah, we just need a winner now in the family lineage, don't we, in a Melbourne Cup. Tell us. Go on.
My lineage, well,
Yeah.
I don't have, I mean, I'm not riding in a cup, but yeah, so obviously dad's had a lot of success in it. He's won 5 as a trainer with his brothers. My cousin Sam with his dad won it last year as well Without a Fight. We've had a sneaky gallop at Mornington today.
Yeah.
Watch that space.
Yeah.
And then my great grandfather as well, Midge McLaughlin, he won 3 of them back in the early 1900s. So he was actually the first jockey to ever ride for the Australian jockey to ever ride for the royal family
Wow.
in the UK. So yeah, I think after one of his victories in the cup, he went over there and he rode for King George V. There you go.
Yeah, we don't need to spend too long on mine. My dad, the only connection I had
He
to
got the
race-
first 4 one year.
Yeah, exactly. Dad is a teacher by trade, but he used to pencil for bookies on track and on a Saturday. And so we'd sort of get dragged into it, and he talked about this horse vintage crop for months. And I remember I was in year 5 because I can still remember the schoolroom that we watched it in, and they'd asked what I wanted for my birthday. This is the start of November. My birthday is November 30. Just said I want $50 on vintage crop. And to this day, I have no idea whether he lied about whether he put it on, but I've become a degenerate ever since, and that's the day it started.
Really?
Yeah, that was where it sort of, I wouldn't say the love of punting, but definitely I wanted to follow Dad's interest.
You know,
for
my
sure.
my grandmother passed away a couple of years ago, but she used to say, and you are the perfect embodiment of this. She said, racing is an affliction only cured by death.
Yeah, flat out.
Yeah, it is.
And you guys, we've just discussed it. You guys would know better than any. It's in the blood.
Mm.
It really is because, when my great-grandmother passed away, they found 4 or 5 handbags, old handbags, and they were about to throw them out. But as it turned out, she'd cut the lining in the bags, and there were a few $100 bills in each of them. She'd used it to hide from my great-grandfather, who was a degenerate punter. So if he'd won at the trots, because they were huge trots people, she was clearly siphoning $100 bills in there. And she died with sweet FA. Yeah, I reckon she just flat out forgot that they were in there. Anyway, this
Back
isn't
to
about
you,
us. This
Winona.
is about you. I wouldn't say that it's been the smoothest ride along the way. You've had a few setbacks, and all jockeys do, but kind of tell us a little bit about your story over the past couple of years, your decisions about venturing into state, your hits and misses along the way, and clearly a few injuries there too.
yeah. So I had a really good apprenticeship. But a month out of my apprenticeship, I had a fall and had a brain injury, and so I was off for 6 months. I came back for 3 days, and I broke both my arms. So then I was off for another 6 months. And after that, my career was really halted. Linked back up with Gay and Adrian, and they've really helped my career along the way. But I just thought I was at a level and I wasn't progressing. Obviously, the biggest dream for me was always a Melbourne Cup. So I thought, how am I going to do this? So I had another couple of injuries along the way, and then I was having some time off to have a surgery for an old injury. And I thought, when I get back, I'm going to move to Melbourne. I'm going to bite the bullet and do it. So I got down here, and I was very close to getting a Melbourne Cup ride last year, but it didn't eventuate. And then stuck it out for a fair few more months. But then, unfortunately, Mum and Dad got a bit sick, and I just thought it was time to move home. But yeah, I'm happy to be back for this week.
Yeah.
You've got your dream.
Yeah.
Was that genuinely when you wanted to move down here a few years back? It wasn't for a fresh start, because I remember seeing even Winona like trotting around with Gay at the Magic Millions, like following her every move, and I'm guessing learning other parts of the industry in the office, and whether it be bloodstock or all that kind of stuff. Like she has really taken you under her wing. So I'm guessing it wasn't that. Was the decision purely in an attempt to get a ride in the Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, definitely. I spoke to Gay about it, and I asked her opinion on me moving to Melbourne, and she thought it was a great idea. And yeah, it was a big driving factor. I thought I'm much more of going to get a chance in a Melbourne Cup ride if I'm down there. So that's why I did it.
Well, you're going to do it, which is awesome. How did the association strike up with this mare?
So I was riding a bit of work at Flemington, and Andrew Forsman obviously had a stable over here and rode a little bit of track work for him there. And the foreman there, Chloe, she's become a good friend of mine as well. So I think she's helped me out there a bit. And obviously I can ride really light as well. So I think it's a big advantage to be able to walk in on race day without having to have a sweat or anything like that.
And when did you find out about the ride?
I was hoping she was going. And then I was hoping I was going to get on her. So it would have probably been last week. And yeah, I nearly cried. And then
Oh, where were you?
I just woke up from a nap.
Like all good jocks do.
Yeah, and thought it was still a dream.
Yep, that's for sure. Then I decided I would drive down to mum and dad's and told them, and they both got teary.
Oh, you can just, it's so nice.
It's the most beautiful story.
because
I'm glad you're telling it to us.
You can see exactly how much it means. And the other thing too is I don't think there's a lot of a gap between our top tier jocks and all the rest. And yet they seem to get afforded opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Have you been thinking to yourself along the way, I'm just as good, if not better than a lot who are getting some great opportunities here, and I just need that door to be ajar long enough for me to squeeze through?
Oh, that's hard one to say. I think the top jockeys, though, they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing riders, and they all work so hard. I think my work ethic is what takes me a long way. I just work hard and do my best and just keep chipping away.
You're not chipping away. You're in a Melbourne Cup. and on that front, what will you do Cup day? Talk me through prep, through the morning, getting to the track.
So I don't like to change routine too much. So I'll go in, ride track work, then come home, have a bit of rest, and then get ready to go to races.
Yeah, a lot of the real good jocks go and ride work on the morning of every single Saturday or Wednesday. I mean, obviously Tuesdays as well, but you do hear, particularly down here, if jocks are travelling in from interstate, they will find work to go and do on those major race days because it gets them in a rhythm, I guess. It gets your body ready, your mind ready, you're sharp, and then when it comes 3:00 on Tuesday, you've already been on a horse that morning. Like, it would be terrifying not to have had a sit all day and then like cold into a Melbourne Cup. That's not ideal, is it?
No, I don't think so. I just like to get out there. I like waking up early, and I love riding track work too. So I love doing that, and then I get to come home and have a rest too. So
Okay, gate 20. What you're doing from there? Because I mean, looking at her, she's gone forward, she's settled midfield, but her asset would be to probably be in the first few pairs if you can.
yeah, haven't had a good conversation with Andrew yet about it. Obviously we've got Buckaroo going just outside us, so and I really liked her run a couple starts ago when she got back and she was over racing and stuff like that, but she just kept coming to the line. So I was really impressed with that run. So I don't think it would be a detriment to her to be a bit further back in the field, but be able to switch off. And I was able to have a really good feel of her this morning, and see how she travels. So I'll just have to use my my good hands out there and get her to relax. And yeah, I'm sure she'll be really strong late.
It's a fair point that you have a few primary chances that aren't drawn particularly well either. So the opportunity is there to get it back. You know they're going to at least get you part of the way there. New set. Get you part of the way there and drag you into the race. So you're not going to have to do all the work yourself. And then it just becomes about which horse runs the 32 strongest, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we'll just concentrate on getting her into her rhythm out there and enjoying the ride.
Tell me honestly, do you actually clock where the clock tower is? Or is that just a myth that we talk about and trainers talk about? Because I just find it hard to believe in the midst of a Melbourne Cup or a race of big nature down at Flemington that you look across for a clock tower.
It's pretty obvious to see out
Is
there.
it?
So, but yeah, I think if she's moving into the race, I'll be asking
Don't go
her for
before
it.
the clock
Yeah,
tower.
don't go before
Bart'll
then.
be furious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a special cup for another reason as well, because we've got 4 female hoops riding in it. And that's, we've obviously had Michelle Payne a few years ago win it. But so you're on Positivity, Holly Doyle's on Sea King, Rachel King's on the map, and of course, Jamie Carr with a broken nose
Mm.
is on Okita Sushi. Does that feel special too, to be part of a history-making cup on that front?
Yeah, definitely. It's just showing that we're just the same. We're jockeys. There's not male
I
or
agree
female
with you, and I
jockeys,
don't
we're
like bringing
jockeys.
that up. Yeah, I agree with you. But
So
people
it's
like
so good.
focusing on it, hey.
Yeah, that's it. But I think it's all just changing. What Jamie Carr's done here in Melbourne is incredible, and what Rachel King does and Holly, they're just all great riders.
Be a good photo, though.
I think it does. Yeah, and I think it does help next gen. It's not so much about now. I think back to your Claire Lindop's big moment in a derby with Rebel Raider, and you think back to Michelle Payne. They kind of paved the way for the opportunity. I don't like it being a discussion point either, because you do look at each and every jockey the same, whether they're male or female. But I do think it's a marquee moment if Rachel King goes over to the States and rides in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Huge meetings.
Yeah.
I do think Michelle Payne's win sent her into the absolute stratosphere. If she were male, it wouldn't have had she wouldn't have the public profile that she now has. I don't think we can just gloss over it as a small moment. Having 4 is a big achievement.
Yeah, no doubting that. I'm the same as you. Like, in what we do, sometimes it's like, oh, how are you fine working with blokes all the time? I don't really notice the
Yeah, they're annoying, but
I don't really notice the difference, to be honest. It's just so exciting.
I know. I'll be a little bit nervous for you now, having had a listen to you and knowing how much
Yeah.
it means. But it does make me feel so much better about the great race, knowing that just the thought of getting there is enough. Do you feel as though, even if, regardless of race result, you will have achieved something?
Yeah, definitely. I've been riding. I had my first trial ride on Melbourne Cup Day 13 years ago, so it's been a long
What
time
was the
coming.
horse, do you know?
I can't remember. It was at Nowra.
Yeah.
I remember we stopped on the way down there to watch. I think my dad drove me down, actually. My mum or dad drove me down. They both might have, and we stopped somewhere to watch it. And I had my first trial ride for, I believe it was Luke Pepper, actually.
Mhm.
Right.
But I can't remember the name of the horse.
Are they going to be there on Tuesday?
No, they'll watch at home. They'll be able to see better. They'll just be
They'll
cheering.
be able to see better. Get them to Melbourne. Imagine. I'm sure they could get here quickly enough. But no, we'll be cheering you on. No doubt about that.
I love knowing that this means so much to you, because I think there are every ride in the Melbourne Cup for any jock is really important, but like, you changed your life to be able to set up this moment, and it's come into fruition. Like, it's really special.
Is your body saying stop doing this at any point?
No.
No.
Obviously, there's like little niggling injuries that I've had to carry along the way, but I haven't been fitter. I'm just.
Her version of niggle is very different to my niggle.
Yeah, well,
I
we know
stub a
that.
toe, I'm out of
Yeah,
action
well, I
for 2
know,
days.
I know. Oh, I might
Tough-
lose my toenail.
Tough as teak. We'll be cheering you on,
We
Winona.
will.
And do you know what I'm looking forward to? The So We Think podcast interview after she wins.
We've had some luck in the last few weeks, though.
We have. Oh, do you have a tip on any other front? Any other horse you've been on? Anything next few days? Don't care where it is.
Next few weeks, maybe.
Yep.
One that she said, or maybe a 2-year-old or something like that.
No, all the Gay and Adrian's 2-year-olds they're always flying, so I'm sure they'll be popping up.
Do you know what the
again and
first
again.
person on track, other than Andrew, to congratulate if you were to be victorious in the Melbourne Cup, it would be Gay, wouldn't it?
Yep, definitely.
That'd be special.
She is going around that precinct at Flemington.
Like a
Chook with her head cut off. Honestly,
How-
she was here, there, and everywhere, and everyone just loves seeing her, and she loves seeing everybody else. But have you seen? There's a clip of her just scampering out of
she's
some event.
unbelievable, and
Yeah.
I particularly loved her outfit video on Derby Day where she was like dressed to the nines, not traditional black and white. She doesn't
No.
abide by those rules, but the pink glossy Asics that she wears on her face. Unreal.
She has to, though.
Look
at the
I
climate
would
and
do
shit.
the same if I were gay. If I had the standing of gay in this world, yes, I'd be in pink trainers the whole time. I am today, to be honest.
Hey, we'll talk about it at another point in depth, but even though it won't be your on-top selection, would this be your best result for the Melbourne Cup?
I think story-wise, in
Yeah.
terms of a jock story-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
All right.
you.
Bring it home, Winona.
Thank you.
Go and prepare. Go get some sleep.
Sounds good.
Winona Costin joining us on So We Think. Wow, that's a real story. And just to hear that the Melbourne Cup was the catalyst for changing her own career absolutely entirely. That's big to hear, and I'm gunning for her now.
It's a big move. Yep, absolutely. I'll be cheering for her. That said, there are fiscal reasons to cheer for the odd horse, and I reckon we should maybe make our way through and talk about some primary chances. So who's top of the tree for you?
In terms of betting, it's Zardozi for me. After what I saw in the Empire Rose, we touched on it on Monday that the Empire Rose was a prep run for her. Doing the maths last night, which took all of 20 seconds, she has now raced over that magical 10,000 metre mark for the prep, which was Bart Cummings' recipe for success in the Cup. His grandson, James Cummings, has done the exact same with her here. Without the run in the Empire Rose on Saturday, she didn't tick over the 10K mark. So for me, just the way it looked like a gallop. She wasn't urged too hard at the end. It looked like a gallop. Punters would have known that's what it was as well. It was the final piece of work for her in front of a big crowd at Flemington on the same track as the Cup. It feels like magic to me.
Yeah, yep. And she had a look last prep and she ran enormously, absolutely bolting in the Oaks this time last year. So
Yeah.
she should have won the Met Trop. As you mentioned, it was a very expensive trial in the Group 1 tab Empire Rose. Drawn 4, 51. She's top draw. She looks the bulletproof one.
Yeah.
She's not my on-topper, but she's the one where you'd be like, take her to the bank. She'll be running top 5.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm playing, and a lot of people do, you might not be an outright punter in the Cup. I think it's pretty hard to be an outright punter in the Cup. But if you're having some fun with, Quinellas, trifectas, first fours and throwing numbers in there or each way bets, I reckon she's got to be in all of those equations.
If you were thrown off the scent with Via Sistina throwing James in the lead up to the Cox Plate, where does One Smooth Operator's hiccup fit? Because the vets we know are so strict and they've given the tick.
Yeah, they're very conservative. The Victorian vets, we know that. I mean, it's well documented. Without a Fight had a similar kind of incident leading up to the Caulfield Cup, changing gate, and was again ruled fit to run. So I think it's a similar situation to that, in that they wanted to check up on the horse. The one that has me a little probably not worried from a vet point of view, but interpretation now has the Equicast on. So obviously has feet issues. So that's the one, and that has been vetted a number of times this week, I believe. So that's the one that has me on the wobbles there.
Yeah, well, my thought is if One Smooth Operator's there, that means
It's fine.
cherry ripe.
Absolutely.
Right? So how good was the Geelong Cup win?
Huge.
Absolutely
Nearly
enormous.
5 lengths, yes.
Pulled up lame. I'm not too worried about it if they're not. 320, no drama. 3,200, no drama. Has Craig Williams, 51, barrier 12, turn of foot. A lot of them don't have a turn of foot either. I reckon that is my on-topper. Easy.
Yep.
Circle of Fire I've talked about a few times on the podcast. Scared witless about this horse.
Are you?
Yeah, because it just reeks.
It reeks of Kieran Maher.
It does
doesn't
reek
it?
of Kieran
Look
Maher.
at the last 3 runs of the prep. Last in the Maccabi Diva, 1,600 doesn't suit. In the Turnbull over the 2,000, okay.
Just a pass.
Caulfield Cup, okay.
Yeah, well, less than okay.
4th up, Kieran Maher. Mark Zara on a hat trick of Melbourne Cup wins. I get your feeling there. I get your feeling.
Won a Sydney Cup at 3,200. At what stage of the preparation?
4th up.
4th up.
24 in terms of gate, though.
Now here we are. 4th up, barrier 24 hurts. They'll go back. They just need to find a good back.
Do you genuinely believe, though, he's going as good as what he was during that Sydney Cup campaign? Because I don't.
What I believe and what I'll witness on Tuesday are two different things.
Vastly different things, aren't they?
The only other one I wanted to throw out, well, there are probably 2 others I wanted to mention at huge odds that I could entertain for first fours and that sort of thing. Sharp and smart. So Graham and Deborah Rogerson, they train, hit 3 wet tracks to start off this preparation. He just hates that. Won a New Zealand derby, almost won a Vic derby. Now, everyone I've mentioned that to in the past few days, because you talk about this a lot on track and everything, they're like, got beaten by Manzois. Yeah, but SP'd a very short price favourite that day in a derby. Barrier 15, not the end of the world, 53.5 in the top 5 hope. And the other one I wanted to mention was because of the money. So I had a look at the holds before I came on the show.
Good. I like the insight.
And there is the worst result from Tab's end at this early stage is Akita Sushi.
Is it really?
It is. And it's the 3rd best backed runner in the race. So it beat a few cup rivals in the Moonee Valley Gold Cup, and usually I just flat out ignore the Moonee Valley Gold Cup, with all due respect to it. Rolls forward, barrier 10, Jamie Carr, wouldn't that be an amazing double
a derby and a cup with a broken nose.
He might be the domestique. Do you follow the Tour de France? The domestique's it's the minion that goes and gets your drinks and your food and leads you up the mountain when your main rival's up there. It has that vibe to it, but it's one where there's smoke, there's fire.
If there was a storyline, there's a couple of horses with like excellent stories that we could celebrate post-cup victory. So Vauban, obviously, finally Willie's Cup, second time tactics. They've changed everything. That would be a masterful trading performance for him. I agree with you on Circle of Fire because Kieran Maher, but also, as I said, Mark Zara on a hat trick. Just Fine would be a remarkable story because it would hand Jai McNeil his second cup. Gay, obviously another one. Adrian Bott his first. But for me, and I know there is a personal connection to this, but this horse is owned by My Racehorse. So there's like over 2,000 owners in this horse. Like that is a fairy tale.
How does that work for owners' passes on the day?
I think they had a little ballot. We've got an event on Monday night in Melbourne where I think they can all come. Like there's 1,000 tickets so people can come and get ready for it on the day. They've got watch parties around the country at different pubs. But in terms of like it's the people's cup that this is the people's horse.
Yeah, okay.
So I feel like that would be a really cool victory for a group of owners who have chipped in $60, $70 to be a part of his journey, and he's already provided them with a Group 1. Athabaskan would be a story for Tom Charlton winning his first Group 1, and Zach Lloyd, he feels like he's destined to win a cup with a lightweight really shortly as well. I think Okita Sushi for the broken nose, Derby and Cup within the space of a few days. And then, as we just learnt, the fairy tale, in a way, would be Positivity and Winona Costin. And maybe her story's not as well documented. Hopefully we've documented it well enough here today for people to understand where she comes from as a jockey and her perspective of the race. But I think that would be a fairy tale story. She's had the most severe injuries out of
She undersold those.
Yeah.
She undersold those injuries big time.
I mean, they've all had injuries. Every jockey has had falls and they've spent time on the sidelines, but hers arguably are more severe than anybody else's.
Yeah. Hey, in Sydney, they'll be dancing, whether it be in the barn or just a big dance overall. I reckon Here to Shock is the horse to beat.
I agree.
And I reckon Skylab is the forgotten horse in the race. And that'll probably be my best result out of the race. 3-time winner fresh, soft track, ideal, good track, not the end of the world. Drawn 8, absolutely perfect. So that would be 1. In terms of, I'll get yours in a tick.
I'm Here to Shock.
Others, are you?
Yeah, I'm just Here to Shock.
Oh, good.
I wanted to be with Gringotts, but the gate just put me off so badly that I'm just with Here to Shock.
Yeah. I thought it was a layup, Gringotts, and then that barrier stinks.
Yeah.
The Stadio Mestalla to beat Waterford in the Little Dance.
Okay. Haven't dived too in depth to those, so I'm glad you have.
Okay. And the only other two, I don't usually do this, but if you bother to go through it,
you may as well do it.
Takes forever. Yeah. Cloudland, best of the day, race 3, 1400 benchmark 90 in the Sub-Zero.
Okay.
Which is one of my favourite races.
The Greys.
Oh, it's so good.
It's hilarious.
It is. And Chewing Gum, race 8, best each way in the listed Amanda Elliott, currently $10.
Yep.
Drawn perfectly in 4, big swinger unbeaten, tough to beat. But each way all day, take it to the bank. Make it happen.
Okay. If I'm going to throw in some of the ones that I like on the day, in the Schwepper Vincent's Plate, which is race 4 on the card for the 3-year-olds over the 1,000, tough race. But don't dismiss Peter Robles Overfull.
Yeah.
Ran a big second at the Valley the other night. They've got a big opinion of this horse. And people will see Peter Robles like Gold Coast, like Cup day. Are we serious? I think we're serious there. I think we're real serious.
It's the second worst result from Tab's End in that
Is
race.
it really?
Yeah. Feels like an omen bet for me too. Anyway,
All right.
it'll be good fun, Cup Day.
Yep.
Thanks to Winona.
Yeah, she was brilliant. Really
And thanks to
enjoyed chatting
James
her.
for
The big steer.
propping me up on what may have been a grim day without him.
Oh, he'll be sitting on the balcony probably next to you watching the Cup.
Yeah, the poor thing.
Mm.
He deserves. I like to see the best in the business in there, but some have to miss out, and it paves the way for others as well, especially those light in the weights without the heavy hitters in the race this year. But it'll be a big race.
Yep.
It always is.
Even Cup this year. Not too many would shock me in terms of a result. We'll be back on Wednesday/Thursday with a
Yeah.
preview of Oaks Day, Stakes Day, Champions Day, and Five Diamonds Day.
Can't wait.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.